We're
Welcome
back.
back. Yeah, I'm back too, and I'm totally not tired.
Totally. Totes. Totes not
Yeah,
tired.
totes my goats, my dude.
You know, I don't
So
know if we have
how?
any goats in the audience. We have 2 sheep.
Yeah, okay. Well, sheep is okay. Totes my sheep. There you go.
Totes my sheeps. Call me
Anyway,
Evie. See? Someone appreciates guac and doesn't
I
call
want.
it Barovian salsa.
I enjoy guacamole. Good.
Excellent. Then the avocado continues to rise above us.
Yeah, I still prefer salsa over it though.
I won't fault you for that because you don't dislike guac, even if you prefer salsa over it.
There you go. Yeah. I don't actively dislike many dips, if I'm honest. I do enjoy me some good chips and dip. I don't like hummus though, so hummus can go die.
Whew. All right, enhance my calm. Breathe in through the nose,
Calm
out through the
down.
mouth.
It's just because I don't like many bean-based things, you know? It's not personally against hummus, it's just against bean.
Oh,
And, like,
okay. So you're anti-legume.
yes, anti-legume. It's really not against any particular hummus. Nothing personal against hummus, just beans in general. Not my deal. I used to like green beans when I was a kid, but I don't really anymore. I don't
So
like peas.
what
I don't
happened?
like.
What happened in your character backstory that you and green beans just fell apart?
I had so many out of the can, fresh and cold. And then, you just have them so much you get sick of them. That happened to me and Honey Nut Cheerios. I still can't eat a Cheerio to this day. It makes me want to spit it out.
Oh, geez. Even Honey
Yeah,
Nut Cheerios. My goodness.
I know. It's actually kind of interesting how when you eat something for long enough, your body's like, okay, I reject this thing now. You don't like it anymore. And I'm like, but I like it. And it's like, no, you don't.
So it
You don't
sounds
have
like
a
Fox.
choice.
You need to make a custom background for your adventure called the Gourmand.
Oh,
And
really?
and this could be this could be a bond. It could be a flaw. You could weave it into
Yeah.
the table. And
So should I just make my background as a person who does not like bacon or peanut butter and chocolate touching?
if you want to
Otherwise
have
known
that
as
be a
alien.
massive character flaw that's crippling, then sure.
Crippling character flaw? I see how it is, Maddie.
Look, if you can't enjoy a good peanut butter bacon vanilla milkshake, then
Ugh.
I don't know what we're
That
doing.
That sounds. Ugh. Peanut butter, vanilla, bacon, milkshake.
It could be chocolate. Yeah.
No! Don't put chocolate in that! That just makes everything worse!
No, all right. Well, fine. See if we ever go to Five Guys Burger and Fries and more milkshake for me.
Yeah, I guess. I'll just get, a normal chocolate milkshake.
By the way, I would like to state that everything that just happened is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, clearly.
This is penultimate D&D right now, right here, live in front of you, unscripted, unplugged. Yeah, your ukulele's also unplugged.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have a plug, so, ooh, even a step beyond.
Although, the future is soon, and in a cyberpunk dystopia, people will have electronic ukuleles.
I know. The rise of the electronic ukulele is nigh. It's coming one day, I tell you. The end is nigh.
Yeah. All hail
Anyway.
our corporate overlords.
Yes, Disney. Is that too real?
That said, Wizards of the Coast, if any of you are watching, I would really... No.
Oh boy. Alright, so
Yeah.
what are we up to?
Back on. Stay on target. Stay on target.
Yes, use the force, Maddie!
I summon setting wishes. That actually sounds like we're playing a card game now.
Yeah, it does.
Very
like
good.
a Yu-Gi-Oh card game or whatever. Or Magic the Gathering, that could be fun.
Yeah. Ah, hell. Magic was invented by D&D players as something to do in between sessions.
Is that for true and not for false? Is that why Ravnica's a thing?
Truzy. Well, I mean, go back even further in Ravnica, but it's Truzy's.
Yeah, Innistrad would be a fun campaign setting.
Yes. It's called Ravenloft.
So it is. Is that the Curse of Strahd campaign?
Touche, salesman. I too have an uncle.
What?
You heard me. Now about this setting. You were throwing out ideas.
Yeah.
You were throwing out some ideas. I say, I'd love to run a nautical campaign. I want to explore wondrous things and horrible things. That which lurks beneath the waves. Treasure hunting, high seas, thises and that's, and even some of the others. And since yesterday,
Indeed.
you have been doing even more thinking.
I think a lot, as you may know. And then I get very excited about the things I think about and paw at you relentlessly.
Welcome, Xavier. Thank you for the follow.
Yes, welcome.
Describe aspects of your idea now that it has been slept upon and refined, if only through manic thought and inspiration, and what are sources that you've consulted, themes you want to explore. Give us a little bit more of a vision for the setting of your adventure, right? You put out an idea, then the ball was in the court of your players, and now the ball's back in your court because the players said these are the characters that we want to run, and now taking that information and with your information, let's pineapple pen it together. And what does the setting look like right now?
Well, what it looks like you should have. I doodled it up today, what the world in general looks like, and sort of what the undersea part of it looks like.
I call this Fox World.
Yes, Fox World.
Explain what is Crackalacken in this picture.
Well, on the left, we have the world from the surface. I wanted to incorporate the elemental planes on sort of in a way you could see. So, that stripe down the middle of the planet is sort of supposed to represent Earth, essentially. And so it's just a big ring that goes around the planet, and it is a very, very physical barrier that prevents access to various parts of the world.
And this is like a north-south mountain range. Or if not mountains, it's land. It's raised land above the water.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely the red line, but shut up. You've also got the planes of air and fire at the two poles. Sorry.
Okay.
Get water. So there's like a huge volcano at the southern end, and it's constantly sort of active and erupting. So that area is constantly covered in dark skies that rain down soot and ash, and it's very cold because the sun never shines there, and things like that.
Oh, so it's extreme heat and cold.
Yes, it's a place of extreme. Very unpleasant. And then there are even sky islands that are in the soot that are very rough. essentially.
Okay.
And up north, you've got the air sort of thing, where you've got this tree thing sitting on the top of the world,
Okay.
which is called a world tree, and it's
Okay.
sort of considered holy land. There's like a halo of clouds that hang around the that tree, and there's a bunch of different sky islands, and it's sort of like the haven't I? It's like I was thinking it would be like a holy land of some sort. I don't know what sort, but a holy land of some sort.
Okay. That even if it's a placeholder, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and the region is pretty temperate, and it's really calm there. It's a stark contrast to the fire below, essentially.
Okay. So a volcano below, extremes of heat and cold. We have this
Right,
world tree above with clouds and precipitation, rather temperate.
right,
We have this strip of land that bisects the world, north
right.
south. Now, what's going on with the dashes going west and east?
That's the water element sort of thing. Essentially, that's an extremely difficult to navigate part of the ocean. There's like very strange things that happen in there, and it's not exactly normal. Like if water goes straight up or straight down. There's waterfalls in the middle of the ocean.
Ah, okay.
Sometimes water flows up against gravity. It's sometimes it's dead calm and there's no movement at all. It just varies on where you are. But essentially, this little band of water forms sort of the plane of water barrier in the world. So the world is really bisected into four chunks.
What are you? So we have, I guess, our the four classical elements.
Right.
What then? What is existing, or what is going on in the partial quadrants that exist then between fire, earth, and water? Because it seems like each of the quadrants gets exposure to three of the four at any point in time.
Right, right, they
Um,
do.
And so this is, we're talking about magic a little bit ago. This is almost like an Alara style. What would the life be like if you lived in an area where water, earth, and fire existed, but air, in however you conceptualize it, is there no flying creatures, right? Or maybe there's no flying creatures in the air because you don't need to learn how to fly. You just sort of exist. What are your concepts for presenting this, and as well, how much of this world is known or explored? Is this something that you would drop on your players and say, this is known Khaleesi? Or are they starting in a rando quadrant, they know very little, and this is complete, like, global exploration?
I want to say it's pretty global exploration. Travel between the quadrants isn't easy,
Mm-hmm.
and travel to, like, the elemental zones is even less easy.
Okay.
So, you'd probably start out in a quadrant, because you're gonna start out. I class these in terms of danger level, essentially.
Okay.
And, the danger level in the quadrants is relatively low. And each of the quadrants is relatively low. In the northern quadrants, where the plane of air is, it's low all the way, but as you get closer to the volcano, the danger level kind of increases as you get closer and closer to it.
Okay.
So that's not that's not exactly a safe place to be.
And
Particularly
this is on the surface, even.
right, right. Particularly the water band around the world. That's not a good place to be. Anywhere in it. That's where you'll find most of your islands that have to do with the outer planes and the creepy plains. That's where you're gonna find a lot of your eldritch horror. They're
Ah.
uncommon, but the danger level in the land band. Well, since it's a mostly naval campaign, I didn't really think that they would traverse the big ring. But you know, shouldn't expect my players to enjoy a nice.
I mean, yeah, you could describe it as completely barren rock, no jewels, precious minerals, no water or food to be found, no plants or animals, and they're going to want to cross it because of that. And then you populate it with all that stuff, and they say that we're going to cross it because it's still there. So...
Curses.
Curse.
Well, the danger on the land band is sort of... It scales. It goes from not very existent at the top to pretty heavily existent towards the fire plane.
Any other notes for what we perceive above, or are we going to get to this weird kind of like booger looking drawing?
What booger? Oh, that booger? Well, the booger drawing, the one on the right, is the dragon vein is a nice name. Could you write that down for me, please?
Yes. I will write that down under setting wishes. Yes. The dragon vein.
Like that. That's cool. But yes, the one on the right, the picture on the right now. This is actually an image of what's underneath the surface of the water. It's sort of your cutaway to what it looks like under the surface of the sea. And everything that comes up and out above the central line are islands.
Okay.
And you can see that the islands take a lot of weird shapes and don't exactly look like you would expect islands to look.
In fact, some separate islands that are probably separated by hundreds of miles seem to share the same base or stem.
Yeah, and this is, for this reason, I had the idea that this world is a world made from giant trees. Like, that sphere has been built up over hundreds of thousands of years of decaying trees, giant trees, trees that exit the atmosphere before there was an atmosphere.
Oh. Trees
so huge. And I know I said there was a world tree on top of the world on the picture to the left, but that's just a baby.
Okay.
That's just a baby. The dragon vein's made out of these trees. The islands are the branches of these trees. All of these trees make up the world, and they sort of are the islands. And I thought that was a neat idea.
And so the planet itself is living in a way?
In a way.
Well, you said it's built off of dead, but like it's
petrified. It's fossilized trees, yeah.
The trunk.
The trunk. I don't think this knowledge is very widely known, but it's something behind the world that I wanted to, like, have an idea of, and I thought it was a really cool way to say, oh yeah, islands and tree branches, and it's kind of an interesting concept.
This is not something you would include in the campaign primer then, correct?
No, I wouldn't include it.
I like that idea. I think this would be a huge twist or a big reveal that, you know, people who've been playing these characters, they've lived here on this planet their whole lives, only to realize, only to realize that you know, everything isn't what it seems.
Indeed.
Now, does this mean, and because we're talking biomes, you know, we've talked about elements and we've talked about other planes, you know, inner planes, outer planes, and I'm sure you can phase in the probably the Feywild might be more up north and the Shadowfell to the south or something.
Possibly.
what are you going to do with a... it's not really a plane itself, but it is definitely a very supernatural place of the Underdark, or a concept like it.
Well, actually, I was thinking of having the Underdark be underwater, and sort of the hollowed out bits of these petrified trees could form underwater caves, and you could have whole, like, underwater bits and caverns and a whole connection of networks through these hollowed out tree branches that form a natural series of underwater caves. And
I see.
That could be the Underdark.
So to get this straight, you want to take the Underdark, which is traditionally mostly two-dimensional, filled with air and possible food sources, along with some of the worst, most hated, deadly, notorious creatures that exist, and you now want to put it underwater with very little air, crushing pressure, extreme temperatures, and those same creatures, except they're like half shark, half octopus.
Yeah.
Do you hate your players?
No. Why would you think that?
And I jest about that because I actually think that is very neat. I mean, so you're given the Underdark a Galapagos treatment.
Mm-hmm.
What would happen, in a world where the Underdark is underwater?
Mm-hmm.
One ship, one party.
One ship, alone, betrayed by the country they were sworn to protect.
This summer, Fox in a Box presents
Oh God.
The World Trunk Scar of the Great Arbor, rated PG-13.
In theaters this December or something.
Sea Drow. If you thought Drow were interesting enough, now make them Nereids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, we still have the races of Triton and Marrow, like the native underwater tribes. You'd have to wonder how they'd interact with these Sea Drow.
I think the Tritons might actually be the 5th ed version of Nereids, which are traditionally water elves. Drow with shark teeth? Yeah, hey. And you know what's scarier, everyone? If you weren't here for it, Fox in the Box has gone scuba diving, has encountered the life forms beneath the waves, including sharks.
Yeah. Lots of different kinds. Eels are especially creepy. I had one bonk off my little goggles before. Like, it came up and bonked straight off of them and touched me. I didn't like it. Eels are really creepy when they're coming at your face. Just gonna tell you that.
And so, drawing on her own personal experiences, I think she can provide her players a very interesting time now in the... I mean, what would you want to call it? The underbubble?
Not the underbubble.
Sounds like a colloquial name for kind of a medical problem.
It could be called...
I got the underbubble. Oh, God.
You could call it the Dark Sea.
The Dark Sea. All right.
Yeah.
Dark elf sharks do. Dark elf sharks do.
Underdeep. The Underdeep. I do like the Underdeep.
Because it's even further below the depths of the sea. It is under deep.
Mm-hmm.
The Shadow Deep. The Plunderloot says the Underdeep sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does.
Hey, Rem Doggington, no baby sharks, please.
Sorry, it
Only
gets stuck in your head.
Sharks.
Yes.
Dire shark. Ah!
Bad shark. Punch it in the nose, Maddie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Trenches.
Yep. And for any of you who've been out during Stingray season, remember to do the Stingray shuffle.
Actually.
Derek wants to call it the trench. It looks like you have a trench in this cutaway
Yeah.
also. Like,
Yeah, there are trenches. There are like places where there's just deep darkness. I mean, it's dead trees with detritus accumulated on the bottom. Like there's possibly a ton of terrible and terrifying things inside of a trench.
well, you did say, and we can presume you told your players this. Wondrous things and also horrible, evil things to stumble into. Eldritch horror, beauty and terror. And I think that there's a lot of little nooks and crannies. Sort of like this dark super survival of the fittest kind of Galapagos coral reef system going on down here.
Yeah.
That can produce a lot of very terrifying things like flumps.
Ooh,
And,
the
I mean,
black vent. Jeez, that's nice. Right down the trench of the black vents. These are good things.
the
Like
trench of the
location
black
names.
fence. Oh, the black
No.
vents. All right.
Yeah, the trench and the black vents. These are good location names for underwater locations. I actually had some ideas for like islands that would be on the surface, concepts that would exist.
Yeah, throw out a couple territories, concepts. What are some islands that you would present that are probably maybe the more commonly known ones?
Commonly known ones. I went with the weird ones first. I'll be honest.
Sure, let's get weird.
All right. Well, the first concept is really like flump the jellyfish. Fields of flumps, underwater, bioluminescent flumps. You can always trust those guys, right? They won't sting you. They're cool. Hashtag they're cool.
Well, maybe instead of stinging you, they caress you with their tendrils, and they just don't sting you, but they do other things, like steal your thoughts.
Yeah, they're just. It's the fields of forgetfulness.
You want me to write that down too?
You can.
The fields
exist in-
of forgetfulness. So that's the name of like a flump colony that's sort of drifting on the, just miles wide, just miles of flumps and just floating around.
That's how people go missing. They just forget what they're doing.
Oh, so
there.
it's like a mobile Bermuda Triangle kind of a thing?
Yeah, I think so.
We did it. We got an idea. Mobile Bermuda Triangle. Question mark?
Question mark, indeed. The Valley of Lights is good too. Jeez. You guys are coming up with all these cool names. There was a island concept I had that I got from an interesting source called Funnel Down Island, where essentially a bunch of typhoons and storms would like gravitate to this island and sort of be sucked down the middle of it. And everything is sort of strange and, circular on this island.
So, where I guess an ocean might have a gyre or like a whirlpool, this would almost be like a constant tornado above ground that would suck in clouds and storm systems.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's only occasional though, like the storms are drawn to the island. It's not a tornado that comes out of the island, it's that the storms are drawn to the island and then turn into tighter. They get smaller and smaller until they are super tight tornadoes that get sucked down the middle of the island.
That's got to make a very interesting sound if you're sailing close to it.
Probably a very terrifying sound.
Yes. Would you be using the rules for madness, perhaps, in the DMG, the optional rules for madness?
I could see doing that because this island is based off of a Junji Ito story.
Oh. Where everything just is pulled down into a ceaseless circle?
Not
or a spiral?
Yes, a spiral. very spot. Stormcall Island's a good name for it too. But essentially, the idea was the island's under a curse, and this curse affects people on the islands, and drawing the storms in is just one of the symptoms.
Oh, and it's probably one that everyone just sees and they avoid, but no one's ever looked into it, right?
Right.
Until one ship, one motley crew,
goes down below the island to find the source of the curse.
Ooh.
And if anyone's read Uzumaki, that's kind of what it's based on. It's not good. Uzumaki's a spoopy one.
Then, any other islands or any other details for this one?
Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. There's basically a cave of coral beneath the island that is stuck into spiral shape.
Cave of spiral-shaped coral?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's like psionic and it's got a field of influence or something. I don't know. It's bad news, essentially. More or less bad news.
Okay. What are some other thoughts? Keep spitball them, throw them out there. And whether or not you use them doesn't matter. Just have a jam session. I mean, play the ukulele as you think if you really need to, but,
let's see. Other thoughts. I had another thought for an island that was essentially based around the concept of an isolated human-type society that it was basically a tree kind of came out of the sea and lifted up a portion of land, and there's a whole sea above, there's a whole sea and like a couple continents which are really just more big island size in the air, and you can get to it through the tree trunk that shoots up like a jet stream of water. And the humans that live there completely different from the humans that live below. And
now, are we talking they're different because, like in The Simpsons, they predicted that humans will have 5 fingers one day, and so everyone knows that we have 4 fingers, or how are they going to be different in this case?
They have different adaptations. They do you have the Eberron book?
I have it. I don't have it immediately accessible, though.
That's fine. There's a race in there called the Kalashtar, which are basically psionic humans. They are genetically similar to humans, but they possess innate psionic powers. And that's the sort of human that developed on this kind of separate world. And their classes would all be psionic based because that's the kind of people that they are.
And I see this as it makes it stand out even more, or perhaps is more alien and fantastic, because in the metagame you asked your players to stick to the core rulebooks.
Right.
And the core rulebooks don't have Kalashtar or psionics or the like. And so this would be a way for them to, I guess, maybe stand in awe or be more receptive and observant to what's happening, because this would be very alien to their characters.
Right. If you limit the players to, more a standard set of races, essentially, you can contrast it harshly with the kinds of races that are actually in the stranger parts of the world.
Yes. And I don't know.
And if one of them dies and they want to re-roll a character, they can maybe roll up one of the characters of the races they found.
Because they've unlocked it, right? Or
they've unlocked it.
Or maybe like one joins with the crew as an NPC, and they can get to know that person.
Right. There are options available, and maybe as a side note, like this separate continent above the normal sea is has advanced differently than the rest of the world. Maybe maybe they're a bit more modern. They're like more of like the modern age than
Uh,
just ships and guns. Maybe they have electricity.
ooh.
Maybe they have like motor vehicles and things like that. It would be I think it would highlight that contrast even more to have this sort of weird pseudo Earth within a stranger world. Yeah, hydro energy.
All right. And yeah, that would certainly, so you look and cosmetically they look human like us. McCool, well, I'm a human too. And then suddenly, you know, psionics and firearms and horseless carriages and uh, that could cause for reflection back on the human
Yeah.
and make them realize, wow, what these people, we all live on this same planet, yet look at all the differences that exist.
hmm There's it's definitely a journey of discovery, and I want it to be as much filled with wonder as it is with horror. So we've gone from terrible horror based story to, you know, this curious wondrous different world.
Yeah. And I like that because, if you do want to build a sense of horror um, horror is best done when there's a lack of information, right? Because we have to make instinctual decisions, and if we don't know what something does, that really alters our fight or flight responses. That alters the way we see the world. We thought we knew we lived in a world,
In a
and
Yes, I
yet
love bumper.
things like this exist, and it causes you to question yourself on a fundamental level.
Yeah. I even Clockwork Island. Yeah. Yes, Pupper. Hello. Sorry, I'm getting invaded by Pupper. You're very cute and very lovely. I was talking with the English Rose actually, and she suggested an island, based on Mechanist, where, you know, the sea just stops dead and you hear nothing. There's no wind. There's no movement, and then these shapes come out of this island and come capture you and take you away to be preserved and cataloged for their records. There will be order on that island, and that's horrible in itself because there's no understanding those beings.
Well, yeah,
There's no one.
you have people who've committed the resources to control or stop the tides, the wind,
Right,
every molecule in its place, kind of a thing.
right.
They're effectively the Borg.
Yeah, and those sorts of islands probably won't be common, but they can be there, and they're a possibility. The fact that they're a possibility is in of itself terrifying. You'll never know what you're gonna get or run into next.
Now we've talked about islands. We've talked about some global phenomena, and of course the planes are intersecting. It's a living planet, even, or it was always at one point in time living. If it's trees built atop trees, and things are the same thing but different. Have you given any thought to perhaps the city that Marcellarius came from?
Mercilarian.
Marcellarian, I'm
I
sorry.
I was really excited with the different planes, so I did not think much about the characters and where they would be from. I did think about Dabble Stabble.
Okay.
And like he would be coming from a Feywild island of autumn, where it's eternally autumn.
Oh, okay.
Everything's shrouded in shades of orange, brown, and red. It's lovely there. Very temperate, but you know, strange things happen in the Feywild. You're so needy, dog.
Eternally autumnal. Okay. May I suggest something to you then?
Oh yes, go ahead.
A technique that you can use to try and to kickstart some imagination if you ever feel stuck. I mean, look, Fox, you're very creative. You've given this a lot of thought, and it's also easy to start with these large ideas and kind of winnow it down.
Yeah.
I would like to present to you a technique that you can use in order to help get ideas for a region. It could just be natural, or a settlement in particular, if you want to have a society. And what we're going to do with this exercise is I'm going to have you generate some random numbers.
Okay.
And you can there's some chat commands you can use for that if you're comfortable doing that. It's like exclamation point 1d20 and things like that.
Okay.
And what I want to do is I want to gen up some random numbers, and then I want you to read the bones that we've cast into the augury dish. Mm-hmm. And I want you to tell me, and you don't even have to use this, but as an exercise, as a way to get your brain warmed up and to improv and to find connections and to just get everything going here.
Right.
Here we go. All right, so I have a settlement concept sheet.
Right.
And
oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to get the books, aren't I?
You don't have to. I'll put them up on screen. If you have them, then that's fine. We're going to use the player's handbook once, and then the rest is coming out of the Dungeon Master's Guide.
All right.
But what I'd like to do is for this settlement, this city that maybe our urchin is from, that maybe sent their army out with our military or our privateers, kind of a thing.
Right.
I want to know what kind of a terrain does this exist in? And in the Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide, well, I mean, actually, it's twice in the Player's Handbook between Rangers and Druids. There are 8 different biomes that exist. And what I would like you to do is roll a d8.
Alright, so how do you type up the command?
Exclamation point 1d8. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we have grassland, and I want you to do that one more time for me, please.
Okay. This is fun. I like rolling dice. You don't like rolling dice. Oh.
Oh, did it? It might be on a timer.
That's on. I'll roll. Yeah, someone do it. Someone else do it.
Oh, all right, I got you. 1. Arctic.
Arctic. That's fun.
Arctic grassland. These are suggestions. I mean, grassland doesn't have to be. I mean, it could be, sub-Saharan, savanna. It could be temperate, the Great Plains. It could be a lot of things. But these are prompts that you should think about that could mold the society in the city.
Yeah. This would be probably tundra or taiga.
Do you talk Magic the Gathering? I mean, you can, but... all right, now, we're going to open our DMGs. And this city is going to have some kind of a form of government.
Right.
And to determine which kind of government we have, I want you to roll a 1d100.
Okay, I see what you're going for. Let's see, 68.
A 68.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a 68 means that we have a monarchy.
fun.
And I mean, if you needed a definition for monarchy, it has a little blurb about that. But presuming you don't, and because I want you to interpret this, we're going to continue with our roles.
All right.
Now, this is not a hard rule anywhere. When I create areas, I like having at least 3 things that are interesting or notable about the terrain in some way. And
okay.
and it could be the natural terrain. It could be what we're going to roll for monuments. And of the 3, 2 are going to be monuments, and 1 is going to be some kind of a weird locale, something kind of strange that sits out or is supernatural. And so what I want you to do is roll 2d20 for our monuments.
All right. Our 2d20. I can type.
A 12 and a 4. So we have a ruined or toppled statue of a person or deity.
Interesting.
And our second monument is number 4, giant statues carved out of a mountainside or cliff.
There's a lot of statues things going on.
Okay, now.
This seems like a very religious society or something.
Exclamation point 1d20
Right?
for our weird locale.
How exciting.
3.
Oh no.
A wild magic zone.
Instantly. What have I done?
You have presented an interesting challenge for 3/4 of the party.
Yeah. Clearly. By the gods.
Okay, now, I want you. This is also. I mean, any of this is subject to you. But if you're playing along with what I've set out, let's have 2 races that exist here.
Right.
And so what I'd like you to do is roll 1d10.
Okay. Do 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 do.
A 4.
It's 4.
All right, and while we're waiting for that command to cool down, let's see. So dwarf, elf, halfling. So we have humans, and humans are going to be the dominant race.
That seems par for the course, honestly.
And but they could be different humans in some way. They're humans, but they have 3 eyes, or they're this kind of Kalishtar. They're humans, but they are a little bit more. They're extra human. Go ahead and give the 1d10 a try, and we'll see. Otherwise, I'll type it in. And no, all right.
I don't think it's going.
A 6.
Oh,
1,
dear.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gnomes are the minority race.
Ah, yes. Time to kick gnomes. Alright, here we go.
Cracking knuckles.
Well, no one likes gnomes. They're small and childlike. With punchable faces.
Oh, jeez. All right. Next up, let's determine the race relations between these races. This is going to be a 20-sided die. Yeah,
I'm sorry, Pete. I'm sorry.
Dabble Stabble is Dabble Stabble's not amused.
No. Sorry. Alright, so D20?
Yes, 1d20.
Aha, 11.
11. Tension or rivalry.
Interesting. I'm not saying anything about your people. I am the DM. I am God. You don't hear me. Do you want to get smote?
All right, now we are going to we're going to generate what the ruler's status is, and while we're at it, let's also roll up a notable trait of this settlement. So go
Alright.
ahead and roll exclamation point 2d20.
10 and 11.
All right, our ruler's status: illegitimate ruler, simmering civil war.
Oh, good. This is tense.
And
fun.
the notable trait is 11, which
Okay.
is an awful smell.
Ew.
Now, it recommends things like tanneries, open sewers. It could be, I don't know, it smells like, like rotten seaweed and fish. Maybe if you want to have this be close to the location for a volcanic vent, it could smell like sulfur or something else. This is a particularly stinky tree blossoms here. And it's
Possibly.
it's the Durin tree? Isn't that stinky? Well, anyway.
You mean like the prickly
Yeah.
looking fruit that smells like actual garbage
Yes.
and tastes worse?
So apparently they live on a durian tree, a mighty durian tree.
Yeah, please no.
Any port in a storm, huh?
I mean, have you ever... It's a corpse flower. Giant corpse flower. Have you ever heard of, like... God, there's a Finnish, like, delicacy.
Oh, the
that's
pickled
like...
herring or whatever?
Yes!
Yeah.
That's garbage. Hot
Yeah,
garbage.
that's... I mean, if you gotta survive, I guess you gotta eat that, but oof.
Mm.
A big oof.
I hear that's absolutely appalling, and it made me want to try it.
Sushi, it is not.
Yeah, I don't think I could get the smell out of the place for a long time, though. That's something you eat outside.
Alright, I want you to roll 2d20 one more time.
Alright. 11 and 13. I'm really consistent with the middling rolls.
Alright, so this settlement is known for its 11. Piety. You were talking about religion,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, actually. That works out!
Everyone, I keep saying this stuff writes itself.
It does.
And now...
Like, I could use this to generate a bunch of different islands, honestly, and a bunch of different plots.
Why it so happens that you can. And I'm... If only you had a worksheet that allowed for such a thing.
Yeah, it seems strange.
Now, there is a current calamity going on that is threatening this settlement.
Bye, Bubonic.
Oh.
Is it not the looming civil war?
Apparently this is worse. Dog
Okay.
is tired, gonna sleep. Alright, Bubonic, yeah, see you around. Be well.
Yes. Have a good night.
Juicy fruit's meant to taste like a star fruit. You know, it's been a while since I've had a star fruit.
I want a starfruit.
My,
That sounds like
my local store's been carrying some jackfruit. That's interesting. It's good with barbecue sauce. Alright.
I've had dragon fruit and it's really good.
Oh, yeah, dragon fruit is good. The current calamity?
Yeah.
Undead are stirring in cemeteries.
So good. I mean, it fits with the religious theme, but that's not good.
Is that perhaps where the awful smell's coming from too?
It could be, actually.
Or think about this. You know, if there's an awful smell, you want Eldritch Horror or something. What if there's like a partially like underwater cave that's like a whale graveyard or something? And so the
possibly.
smell, everyone says, oh, it's the island's always smelled like that. Meanwhile, it's a graveyard for whales or sharks or fish or people or something, and it just sort of funnels up from there. And what if the undead necessarily aren't people?
Yeah, they could be like the fish people.
Ooh.
Undead Puotoas, is that what they call? They're Sahakis?
Yeah. That's true. So we have like a pet cemetery thing going on, or this settlement was built, you know, as sort of the popular concept of, you know, oh, the frontier town's built on an old Indian graveyard. and this is, and the spirits are restless. What if this settlement was built on a graveyard of whatever the natives would be?
Possibly.
And they don't like what's happening.
Yeah, maybe. We can see. Interesting, though. Interesting.
Now, there's a lot of other stuff in the DMG you can roll, but there's two things that I want to focus on. Hey, you gonna come up? You gonna show everyone your butt? Come on, it has to be an official stream.
Yeah, it does.
Come on. Hey.
Yes, I remember the Cactus Island, Evie. I remember that distinctly. That was a twist.
We have a religious building of some kind that is notable in this settlement. I'd like you to roll 1d20, please.
Alright. Ha!
18.
18.
A hidden shrine to a fiend or an evil deity.
Jesus. If Evie, you're getting your wishes. Stop influencing the dice.
Fox, again, if this is right in itself, you have all the makings of an island adventure right here.
Yeah, you do. For sure.
And of course, what good settlement? And this could be a big city of 10,000 people or whatever 100,000 people. But what's the place that everyone goes to? What is the most popular, or at least what you're going to feature in your part of the storytelling? Let's generate a tavern name and a tavern style. So first things first, I want 2d20 for the name.
All right. This is interesting. I like having generated stuff.
1 and 5. So the most popular tavern in town is called the Silver Pony.
Okay, that's a name.
And if you want it to be like the Silver Hippocampus, that could be cool, right? A nautical horse.
Yeah, it could be the Silver something.
And lastly, what type of a tavern are we talking about here? I would like you to roll a 1d20.
Ha.
6.
6.
It is a raucous dive.
Oh, good. That's in the crappy part of town, clearly, the gnome part of town.
Oh, shots fired, and they're all low blows.
Yeah. Wow, that was a low blow in itself.
The Silver Seahorse? Hey, you could turn it nautical like that.
Yeah, you could.
It's a Silver Sea Unicorn, a narwhal, a holy narwhal.
Yeah. Jeez.
Well, hey, these are prompts. Yeah, however you want to modify or change this. So Fox, congratulations. Congratulations, you played yourself. No, this
I
is...
get to play myself?
You now have things to think about. You have parameters in which you can work. What type of a city is this that exists in an Arctic grassland area? It is ruled over by a monarchy. However, that monarchy, apparently it's an illegitimate ruler, and a simmering civil war is about to break out. What are the factions? Are there just two? Are there many? Is the tension a rivalry because a gnome is claiming the throne when it should rightfully be a human? And don't forget that just because the gnomes are the minority race doesn't mean that they aren't necessarily the ones that are in charge either.
Right.
So it could have, this could be the gnomes are by count, there might only be 1,000 gnomes that live here and 10,000 humans, but the gnomes are the ones in charge because they hold the purse strings. They're the guild masters. They're the rulers. Or you could have it be the other way around, or the humans, they're the dominant race in wealth or political power, or they're just simply dominant and populous. All of these prompts you can take in a lot of different directions. To ultimately, it gives you a lot of wiggle room, right? It gives you parameters. It gives you lines in the sand. But as you're focusing on some details, you can kind of fudge the boundaries a little bit because of the flexibility of what we've generated here. So with this in mind, pitch the city, pitch an adventure, what's going on through your noggin right now? If this existed in your world, in Fox world,
Yes, in Foxwood.
where is this taking place on your map, or just throw stuff out there?
Probably closer to the plane of fire, the volcanic area.
Okay.
That's probably where you'd get your extreme cold. Um, you I was thinking the native inhabitants were probably how do you pronounce it? Sahagin?
Sahagin?
Yes, the native inhabitants were originally Sahagin, and then it was settled by one of the highborn races potentially, or maybe gnomes and humans are both highborn races, and they're argumentative about things. They have this concept of highborn and lowborn races. Essentially, which races rule the world and which races are kind of discriminated against for being lesser, if you will. And it could be that they drove out the native Sahagin and just killed, mass grave them and force their religion on any survivors and things like that. And there's a revenge, there's a cult forming, and some humans are part of it, and maybe some gnomes are part of it, and there could be a cult that's instigating some tensions between the gnome and the human factions of the Civil War, the factions of the Civil War, and maybe they instigated the illegitimate ruler and things like that. And we have a lot of people who are about shapeshifters or anti-shapeshifters or fey magic.
Ooh,
So, they could have, the Sahagin could have instituted, one of their own people under the guise of, a proper ruler. And there's, the Sahagin worship this fiend, and there's a bunch of stuff going on, and there's humans being swayed, and it reminds me a little bit of Call of Cthulhu, a little bit here.
okay.
Just how there's seedy underworldly ties to things.
And I think what you've done, either purposely or just subconsciously, this is a place that would grab Dabble Stabble's attention. Maybe this is even where he's from, or it could be an island that's just So the forest gnomes live over here. Maybe these are rock gnomes, specifically, that live over here. Who knows? But Dabble Stabble could get involved, and if you want to bring shape changing. Who in the party is anti-shape changer?
I think Dabble Stabble, huh?
Dabble Stabble is. Dabble Stabble could, pull the mask off of the shape changers manipulating the whole time, making the crew the big damn heroes.
Or possibly incite an even worse civil war and chaos and unleash a wholly undead horde upon the peoples.
And this brings about the question, in this style of an environment, is there a prime directive for sailing? Or if not, in general, for this ship? Do they not meddle in the affairs of the other islands? And if so, could Dabble Stabble resist meddling when his people might be, the target of unjust, manipulation?
Possibly, who knows?
And, with you saying this as well, an idea that comes to my mind, the silver pony. Why is it silver? Is the pony or the hippocampus or the seahorse or whatever, is that silver because it's treasure? Is it silver because it was kind of a gray color? What if the silver pony, as a tavern, right? It's a raucous dive. It's probably it's in the lower dock section, right?
Right.
What if the silver pony is an old ship that just sort of crashed up on the rocks? It's not floatable, but it can be used as a bar. And the silver pony was just the name of the ship.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It could even have been a founding ship. And it just never. I mean, it never grew in popularity. But it's one of the oldest ships that's there, but it's become a tavern. Or if shape shifting is a thing, what if it's the silver pony because you have to step through a silver archway, and that keeps the shapeshifters out or something like that? Or it's
there could be religious themes of silver because this is
Yeah.
a pious place. There could be like guards in the lower quarters that hint toward shapeshifters. Like, of course, if the shapeshifter ruler, there probably wouldn't be a lot of silver there, but there would be a strange amount of silver in like the poorer section because there's superstition tied to it. And the royalty isn't gonna frequent the crappy part of the streets.
Okay.
So they don't need to worry about it. So that's like a tell.
And you, in all of this, yeah, you're building this off of just these little prompts. Now, here's a question: the wild magic zone, is that manifest all over the island? Is that localized to the city? Maybe is the wild magic zone kind of like, do clouds of stink like fog kind of roll around, and if you're caught in the fog, it's wild magic? And if so, why or how? What in your mind is causing wild magic to occur?
I think it has to do with the cult, actually. The city's not affected because of its silver kind of protection.
Okay.
But like maybe the upper quarter is affected by the wild magic zone where the lower quarter isn't, and that's like adding to, well, that's odd, why is it here and not there, and things like that. And
yeah, why are the rich and affluent monarchy being affected by the wild magic and not the peons down below?
Right, so that raises some questions. It could entice the players to investigate a little bit.
Is the
Things
ruined
like
or
that.
toppled statue to a person or deity one of human or gnomish faith or historical importance, or is this like an old Sahagin or Kuo-toa face that was from the old days?
I bet you it's a defiled Sahagin or Kuo-toa deity, and that's kind of part of the reason why this all started.
Okay. So the toppled statue is actually not, the statue's ancient, but the toppled nature of it is recent, and that's when the wild magic began, or the stink happened, or
that's probably the event that fired off this odd chain of events.
Congratulations, Fox, because you have a history, you have a present, you can project things into the future. You've manufactured an entire series of events that now I imagine you could be pretty adaptive on the fly of so what is this, and how do I explore this, and what if I have friends in low places, or what if I want to go up high? You can now answer questions about a place that you only just came up with 10 minutes ago off of some random dice rolls. Also, Decon 1982, thank you very much for that follow.
And yes, welcome everyone. Victor Muse, Victorac, welcome. Jack Crozer and Redcap, all of you, welcome. If you've been with us, or if you just joined. We are making a city.
Do you have a name for this town?
I don't yet, actually. Does Evie or someone else in the chat want to come up with a cool name?
That's the secret to being a good DM, is making other people make decisions for you, even though you're the decision maker.
Well, they've been throwing out good stuff.
They have.
Unprompted. They've been throwing out good stuff unprompted. So they can keep throwing out stuff. Silver Veil, Silver Horse, Silver Veil.
Silver Veil.
That's not a bad name. We're naming that's got like this religious Kuatoa demon subplot of civil war. Yeah, it's probably a port city. What do you think of like Mistmarch or something?
Say that again.
Mistmarch.
Mistmarch?
Mistmarsh. Mistmarsh. Because in the grassland Arctic thing, you could do like a boggy type thing.
So the city is named Mistmarsh?
Could be, or could be Defiler's Wharf or Silver Vale, or things like that. I enjoy all of these.
You're gonna have to choose one.
I don't know!
You
Damn
must.
it, I am the decision maker.
Yes.
Curses! I'll go with Silver Vale. That sounds cool.
Okay.
I am the decision maker. Fuck. I mean, crap.
It's okay, it's PG-13. We get 1, maybe 2 if we bribe the MPAA.
Okay, cool.
So congratulations, you made a settlement that could exist somewhere in this world.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how much time you have. If you want to do one more of these, we could do some
It
expedited
sounds fun.
dice
Let's
rolls.
do it.
You want to do
Let's
one
do
more?
it. Yeah, it sounds fun.
Okay.
Sorry
Now,
about
so
this.
is this the settlement that Coffee Cat's character's from, or is this something that is independent?
It could be the settlement that Coffee Cat's character is from. Coffee, do you like your hometown? It's messed up. It's got problems.
I mean, Coffee's character then is a product of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Marcelarian here.
Coffee's character's a half-elf, right?
Yep.
I guess there would be somewhat half-elves. There's humans there.
I mean, you could even say that if Kuotoa existed here, but they were natives and if they weren't killed down to the last person, they could even be like a super minority where there's Kuotoa that exist and run businesses, but maybe they're just not represented, or they don't have certain legal rights or whatever.
Yeah, possibly. But let's get to generating the new one, because I
Okay.
am ready.
Do you want this based on a character, or is this?
Let's base it on. We already have an idea for Dabble Stabble. So let's base it on Rayorn.
Okay, so we generated a settlement, and then we kind of threw Marcelarian into it, and is now from it on the back end. So now in this iteration, we're going to keep Rayorn's concept in mind, and that is then going to proactively influence how we interpret the results. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So I am going to need a D8 from you.
Alrighty.
And then I'll roll a D8 after for our 2 different terrains.
2.
So you rolled a 2. And I rolled a 2. This cannot... apparently this is like super coastal.
Okay, we can have an archipelago.
Yeah,
That's super
it could be
coastal.
just pure coast. Yeah, just flat island that just exists. If you'd like, if you want to throw something else in there, then
Yeah,
Evie,
let's do an-
exclamation point 1d8. Now we don't have to accept this, Fox, if we don't want to, but
Alright.
just in case, it's something to think about.
Yeah. A coastal part would probably be like an archipelago, something that's island hoppy, really close together, though.
Yeah, grassland. So
Grassland.
still kind of flat. Maybe not a lot of trees. Very simple, like scrub brush and whatever.
Yeah.
However, if you want grassland, or if you are willing to accept the pure randomness of coastal, then coast and coast it is. It's just a series of islands of some kind.
I'm okay with either, honestly. I think coastal is offers more opportunities for like jungly type things. But coastal grassland is, I would say, definitely a lot more flat.
Okay. Well,
but we can see what kind of features we roll up to.
Yeah. You can interpret it as you will. All right. So now we need to determine the type of government. That's going to be a percentile roll.
Okay. Percentile roll. 58.
58. A matriarchy.
Matriarchy. That's fun. That's very drowish.
This society is governed by the eldest or most important members of one gender. So it could be matriarchy or patriarchy. Drow cities are examples of theocratic matriarchies, for each is ruled by a council of drow high priestesses who answer to Lolth, the demon queen of spiders. So if you want to choose, or if you just want to, I don't know, go odds or evens for matriarchy or patriarchy, but there's your prompt.
Yeah, let's go odds or evens. What do you want to?
Just 1d6.
What's male and what's female?
Odds matriarchy, evens patriarchy.
Okay. Evens.
Evens. It is a patriarchy.
Alrighty.
Now we're going to generate roll 2d20 for our monuments.
Alrighty. Monuments. I like 14 and 8.
A great stone wall intact with tower fortifications spaced at 1 mile intervals.
Okay! That might work better with coastal grassland. We'll see. It could be along the coast, actually. Like a coastal wall. That could be interesting.
It could even act as bridges between, like defended bridges between the islands as well.
Yeah, it's like an island fortress or something. And it is...
And yes, and result 8 is a ruined or toppled obelisk.
Obelisk. Interesting. Rose did like the idea of a fallen empire feel for Dragonborn, so this works out.
Now I need a weird locale. A roll of 1d20, please.
Alright, 1d20.
Por favor.
11.
A wishing well.
Interesting.
So what if it's not necessarily an archipelago? What if it's an atoll?
Yeah.
And what if the center of the atoll is the wishing well?
That'd be interesting.
And the wishing well is protected by a great stone fortification.
That is a pretty big wishing well.
You need a military to guard that, huh?
Yeah, you probably would.
Now these are my thoughts. I don't want to influence yours. I'm sorry if I got excited.
No, it's fine. It's interesting. All right, let's keep going.
Yep.
Dominant race is probably Dragonborn.
Yep. I need a 1d10, please.
3.
3, and then I'll roll a 1d10 and a 5. 1, 2. Halflings are dominant. Dragonborn are the minority.
Really? Halflings are dominant. Ugh. Halflings. Sorry. I shall withhold my detest for midget races.
But you know what? You got Dragonborn, and this is for a Dragonborn. Like, you all seen it. She called, I want to generate something that our Dragonborn character can be from. especially in a military capacity. And look at what look at what Statisticus, the gods of dice rolling, has given us.
The gods of dice, they are on our side.
Now, let's determine the race relations. I need... go ahead and roll a... roll 2d20 for me. We'll do race relations and the ruler status all in one.
2.
Harmony.
Huh. Interesting.
And the ruler status is 12. A mysterious anonymous cabal.
Interesting.
Ooh, who sits on this cabal? And is it even halflings or dragonborn? Is it someone else? Maybe, what if a race came up through the wishing well? Or something...
That like Genasi, maybe?
Oh! Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, Redcap, that's interesting, too. Yeah, old ones. Clearly.
Now, this, a notable trait for this settlement is 1d20.
Alright, let's do that. I got a 16!
Worship of all gods is banned.
Okay. So they're very atheistic?
Yeah, secular, atheist, like militantly so.
Interesting.
And that could be born out of fear. Or what if the wishing well resonates with like people's prayers? And if people pray and it comes true, I mean, people pray for a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Including, you know,
there's a lot you could do, and there could be more reasons for this. Let's keep rolling. Sorry, Fox, I'm getting in on this. I know, it's exciting, isn't it? Because you could anything works in this world.
Now I want you to roll 2d20. The first is going to be it's known for its, and the second's going to be the current calamity facing this place.
All right, 14 and 15.
This place is known for its education.
I could see that, actually.
And the current calamity is number 15. It's on the brink of war. Uh-oh.
That works again.
Uh-oh. What if agents from this other settlement know about the wishing well? There is a brimming civil war, and I don't know. What if people are trying to access the wishing well, or what if people are trying to get military reinforcements? You know, revolutionary America is trying to get France to come in and help them, kind of a thing.
Possibly.
We can make connections like that, or it could be completely with its own thing. All right. Anyway, sorry.
Yes, you can interpret the dominant race as the most populous. The halflings can be slaves, but the race relations are harmony, so I think they work together, actually. But we can shift that.
You can. If the halfling culture is, look, we don't need much to live on. Honestly, we just want to work because that's what we take pride in. They could be willingly indentured or willing slaves because the Dragonborn can treat them nice, give them a place to live. But maybe the halflings don't want money because they know that money can be evil. Or that money means you throw something into the wishing well and something comes up in response. And so they're like, no, we'll work. Just give us a place to stay and, give us love and happiness and a roof over our heads and we're good.
Yeah, story, stop writing yourself. Jeez.
Whoops.
Alright, next thing. Let's go.
Next thing. There is a religious building in town.
Possibly.
And the notable religious building is a D20.
Alright.
Coffee, have a great night. Thanks for hanging out with us. I mean, Marcelarian. Stops on a 3. It's a temple to a good or neutral deity.
That's interesting, because worship of deities is banned.
In this case, maybe they don't consider the pursuit of knowledge or education as religious, but it is something that is approached with reverence.
Perhaps. So, like a deity of knowledge, perhaps?
Yeah. So it could be a deity of knowledge, but knowledge in itself is its own pursuit, not necessarily an infliction on others, because it's completely meditative.
That's
And it brings
true.
about understanding.
Their religion could actually just be knowledge, the pursuit of knowledge.
And you know what? It could be an interesting cultural irony that, your sailors come up and they're like, but you worship knowledge. Well, we don't worship knowledge. Religion is banned. But you study. Yes. You meditate naturally. So you go out of your way to try and attain knowledge. Yes.
Right.
It's not religious. No.
Right, and you could have a temple at the Wishing Well that's part of its ancient history that's unknown or something like that. Like, there's different ways you could go.
Fluffy said, yeah, it could be a historical site, not active. It could be a temple that's like at the mouth of the Wishing Well, and so if it's not active, maybe the Wishing Well isn't active. And now, of course, the Wishing Well, it could be interpreted in so many different ways as well.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the best tavern in town? I need you to roll me 2d20 to find out.
Oh, I'm excited. 4 and 12.
All right, the best tavern in town is called the Laughing Spirit.
That's nice. I like it, actually.
If we're super serious about military pursuits, there's war. We're training. We have this heavily guarded wall. Construction and the pursuit of knowledge. Sometimes being able to let your hair or equivalent for Dragonborns down and laugh. You know. And lastly, the tavern style, 1d20.
Okay, let's do this. 17.
It caters to a specific race or guild.
So it's probably the military, huh?
It could be it could be a military bar. It's the best bar in town, but you better be in the military or know someone. Hey, the party does.
Yeah.
To get access to the best bar in town, called the Laughing Spirit.
It's pretty good. This place, this island is probably in the top, the northern half of the world, I would assume.
Okay.
Kind of towards the air section.
So yeah, go over this. Just throw something out. Debrief us on what we just generated.
There could be forces from other islands that want the power of the Wishing Well and for their own selfish use, and they're like, no, that is our Wishing Well. It's ancient. It's sacred to us. And you're just gonna use it to do bad things with it. So that's the sort of brewing war underneath it, and the mysterious cabal might be trying to assist in this, even though they're the leaders of the Wishing Well or things like that. They might be trying to unleash the forces of the Wishing Well despite the people's wishes or something like that.
Okay.
Because they don't exactly have to be of the same culture. Maybe the reason why the worship of all gods is banned is because the Cabal is slightly fiendish in nature, perhaps.
All right.
And don't particularly enjoy the evocation of gods. Could be like a mysterious cabal of undead sailors come back to life. Something like that. Although I do like the idea of the Genasi.
I think you could incorporate it easily. I mean, is the Wishing Well just simply a portal someplace? It doesn't grant wishes. It just goes to... Maybe it's a calm water portal somewhere?
Perhaps. I think the nature of the Wishing Well should probably be kept, ambiguous. the true nature of the wishing well should be kept in.
The true nature, exactly.
But all they know is it contains great power. And where there's great power, there's people who will want to abuse it.
Evie's thrown out some names for the military force that's guarding this wall that has been built. You know, maybe, what if this atoll actually had, like, a mountain that existed, but the mountain was broken down brick by brick to build the wall around the wishing well?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so flat, yet everything is made of stone. Wouldn't that be interesting as you describe the ship sailing into port? Everything is made of stone, but it's a flat, sandy island with some patches of grass.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Ooh.
I like. Yeah. Watch one of your players dive into the well.
Yeah. Probably
gonna...
drunk and naked too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna turn out really well for them.
Hey y'all, look at this.
They emerge irrevocably changed. The Marcellarian fell in while he was drunk and then became an aquatic elf.
Ooh.
When he came out. An aquatic half elf, that variant.
Yes. I don't know. That could be cool.
Yeah.
Well, do you like this exercise? Did you feel your ideas starting to flow after you just kind of threw out a couple boundaries?
Yes, I enjoy this generating things. Like, the stories write themselves here.
I should somehow incorporate that into, like, a logo or something. Because it really does. We trust... look, we want RNG on this. This is probably the one place on Twitch that we're like, yeah, random number generation. Because it works so well in our favor and inspires us and it encourages us. And it's an amazing process.
It is a great, like, leaping off point for what you want to do with it. And I could take this island and, like, wrench it around and change it irrevocably, but I will at least have had that base start with.
Mm-hmm. And here you rattled right off the top of your brain aspects of this place that was only generated off of some digital dice not that long ago, and yet you're talking about it with the authority and the conviction like you've been developing this area for the past year. And of course it has this, and of course this is how the people think and how they work.
Yeah. What if there's moss collected from the inside of the well soaked in its waters? Probably has some weird properties to it. Maybe it's like moss of water breathing. You know that Harry Potter...
Gillyweed?
Yeah, like it's like gillyweed.
That could be cool. Maybe that's how they help support themselves, is they sell gillyweed. And so, like, all the sailors come by and they trade for it because you don't want your sailors to die, and this is a water world.
Mm-hmm.
Contraband black market?
Yeah, I imagine that would be contraband. How did I remember that specific nuance of the Harry Potter books? Because I have the key to mind feat, naturally, so...
Duh! Nick Direct, come on.
Yeah,
what feats have you taken? Or did you go all stat bumps? Uh-huh, that's what I thought.
Uh-huh. I'm a variant human, you see.
I am a variant human.
Yes, indeed. The DM's Bane feat? Oof. Oh, Nick.
I am no basic human.
Indeed. Did you just do a Z-snap robotically?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, this exercise has actually helped a lot.
Good. Is our time up? Do you have to go turn into a pumpkin?
I could stay around a bit longer. What else is there to do?
Honestly, you know what? I think we put in enough work that we deserve another break. Get up and stretch a little bit, and if you want to come back and, talk names, throw out more ideas, flesh out something or another, we can round out our evening and just sort of have an open conversation. People might, if you have questions for others, like, oh, what would you call this, or you know, if you want to call people out, or if you want to take whatever, you know, suggestions. If you want to go back in and, I don't know, you want to do one more generation, we could do that as well. But I think that we have put in a good amount of work, and so the workshop, all the sweat and hard work is now left behind in our workshop. Let's take a break and come back, and let's just kick back and relax and, you know, talk ideas, talk D&D or whatever you'd like.
All right, that sounds good to me.
All right, so here we go. We'll be back in about 10-ish minutes, everyone.
All right.